Now, the Supreme Court is set to pronounce judgment on the bail pleas of Umar Khalid, Sharjeel Imam, Gulfisha and others accused in the Delhi riots' larger conspiracy case. The Delhi High Court had earlier denied bail to the accused, citing their alleged role in conspiracy. The High Court noted that conspiratorial violence under the guise of protest cannot be permitted and must be regulated by state machinery. The High Court had observed that Umar Khalid and Sharjeel Imam's roles cannot be brushed aside, as prima facie evidence suggests that they were among the first to act after the CAB was passed, creating WhatsApp groups and distributing pamphlets calling for protests. The High Court has also noted that their alleged inflammatory speeches, prima facie, indicate their involvement in conspiracy. So all eyes are on the big verdict today. And we'll, of course, take you through the many charges that are against Umar Khalid and Sharjeel Imam and others as well. Let me just take you through what we're looking at here. The charges against Umar Khalid, let's just go through this first. Terrorism and conspiracy under UAPA Section 13, unlawful activities. 16 terrorist acts, 17 charges of raising funds for terrorist acts, and 18 charges of conspiracy. Then murder and violence under Section 302, 307 attempted murder and 107 rioting, 148 rioting with deadly weapons. Other charges include 153A promoting enmity between groups, 120B criminal conspiracy, Arms Act, which was charged under sections 25 and 27 for the alleged use of arms. So these are the various charges that we are looking at against Umar Khalid. So all big eyes on that verdict today. For more on this, we have Ananya Bhatnagar joining us live from the Supreme Court. Thank you so much, Ananya, for joining us. Let me just come to you. Of course, we're looking at the various charges against Umar Khalid. It's going to be a big verdict. All eyes are on this major verdict. What are we looking at here?
Well, absolutely. In fact, it is a crucial verdict that is to come from the topmost court of the country. And this is a bench of Justice Arvind Kumar and N.V. Anjaria that will be pronouncing this particular verdict, wherein the bail pleas of Umar Khalid, Sharjeel Imam, Gulfisha, Fatima, and various other people would be decided by the topmost court of the country. Remember that we have seen how there has been, in fact, letters being written by Zoran Mamdani and various others in order to support Umar Khalid and others in order, as far as this case is concerned. Though the High Court, when it had denied them a bail in this particular case, had said that, these are the people who had themselves delayed the trial in this particular case and not the prosecution or the court that had delayed the trial in this particular case. And that is exactly why, the High Court had actually denied them bail. Very clearly, it's saying that Umar Khalid and Sharjeel Imam were the two key instrumental people as far as this bail is concerned. Not only that, what is also very important to note is that the Delhi police has very categorically told the topmost court of the country that this was not just mere riots or mere protests. These were, in fact, a regime change operation that was being operated by at the hands of Umar Khalid and Sharjeel Imam, and hence the bail should not be, given, is what, in fact, the Delhi police has gone on to say and claim before the topmost court of the country. But what happens today is something that only time can tell us. But very clearly, at this point, Umar Khalid and Sharjeel Imam, both charged with serious sections of, in fact, 120B of, in fact, the IPC. Not only that, apart from that, they've also been charged under various sections of the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, a very stringent law. And the most important point as far as this bail is concerned is that whether they'll be able to satisfy the rigorous bars under Section 43D2 of, in fact, the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act or not, because this is, in fact, a bar that they need to, surpass in order to secure a bail in this particular case, because UAPA is a very, very stringent law, and this bar under Section 43D2 is something that they need to actually surpass in order to secure a relief for themselves.
All right, Ananya. Also joining me right now on the broadcast is Simran Babbar, who also is getting us the latest from JNU. Okay. Simran, of course, let's just take a look at what we're looking at today. There are a lot of emotions running high as well. Have you been able to talk to people, get a sense of what the consensus on ground is?
Well, absolutely. As my colleague has already stated about the significance of today, as far as this case is concerned, and over 5 years that in fact both Sharjeel Imam and also Umar Khalid and other accused also in this particular matter have been waiting for. It's a very emotional day, as you also clearly stated. But at the same time, at JNU, the condition is not really that visible in terms of people really speaking out as far as the JNU SFI or anybody of the students' body union is concerned. Going on to say also that in the past records, there have been many statements pouring in for the support of both of these and many other accused who have been charged with serious allegations of hatching a very serious, larger conspiracy pan-India at the time in 2020, where they have been also accused under the UAPA Stringent Act. And that is why also, as this hearings get started in the Apex Court today, more action is also expected to be unfolding on the ground as far as JNU is concerned. While there has been many protests earlier backing both of these and many others who are also accused, who have moved the court for their bail pleas. But at the very same time, so far, there is going to be, in fact, a little wait while we also see more groups or the heads of the student union coming forward right now and speaking to the media, or at least voicing their support once again on the day that they have been waiting for, and also backing both of these accused in this very particular case in the Apex Court.
All right, Simran, thank you so much for that. Of course, as I mentioned, we are getting various reactions to this as well. Let's just listen to this.
Our argument has been that it has been 5 years since these accused have been in custody. The trial has not proceeded, and that is completely the fault of the police and the prosecution. What they did was they filed a charge sheet, and then they kept saying that the investigation is ongoing for the next 3 years. On that basis, they said that the accused do not deserve bail, and they said that even the arguments on charge, the trial cannot go ahead. Now, when the prosecution is responsible for delaying the trial, why should the accused suffer? That is our first point. The second point is that there is absolutely no case against any of the accused.
All right, Ananya, let me just come back to you. Of course, it's also important to understand and perhaps break this down for our viewers why this verdict is so important, why the lens is on Umar Khalid and Sharjeel Imam, and what the Delhi High Court has observed as well. If you could just break that down for us.
Well, absolutely. In fact, this is a very, very crucial verdict because not only it is with regards to the bail of Umar Khalid and Sharjeel Imam, but also it can set the tone of the law very, very straight as far as the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act is concerned, whether there can be a breach of that 43D2 bar as far as, people like Umar Khalid or Sharjeel Imam is concerned. Not only that, the High Court had, while it had denied bail to, in fact, Sharjeel Imam and Umar Khalid, very categorically stated that it is not the prosecution who had actually delayed this particular trial, but the accused themselves. It was a connivance of these accused person, at least the ones who were out on bail and the ones who were inside. It was a connivance between them, and hence the trial in this case was actually delayed by filing frivolous applications or by not appearing on the particular dates that the court had actually asked them to. And that is exactly why, this is a very, very crucial case as far as, the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act is concerned. And more importantly, Umar Khalid, and if I may tell you that I was one of those who had seen those riots by my own eyes, and very clearly at that particular point of time, Umar Khalid or Sharjeel Imam had, flew from Delhi, and in fact, they were the ones who had actually somewhere or the other planned, and it is also what the Delhi police's charge sheet goes on to say that these were the people who left the national capital in order to go away from that lens of being under this particular conspiracy. But at this particular point of time, these are the people who are at the forefront, who were the main brains behind this whole conspiracy. And in fact, the Delhi police has very categorically told the Supreme Court this was a regime change operation that was being operated by these particular persons, and whether or not they will be granted bail is something that we'll have to wait and watch for.
Absolutely. Now, to that, Simran, let me just come to you as well and ask you, what is the sense that you are getting? Of course, will they or won't they walk out? That is really the big question. We're going to have to wait and watch. But there is a lot of anxiety, a lot of anticipation and apprehension of what's to come as well.
Absolutely, on the expected lines, this is a very significant time. And for also, in fact, what happens from this point of time is something that we will have to also wait and see how the hearing goes on. And my colleague will also give the details appropriately as well on that matter while we understand the legal part of it. But as far as the history goes on to what has happened post 2020 in JNU as well, there have been number of times where clashes have erupted. And on these note of how exactly there has been a delay in the trial in both of these cases of when they have moved the bail pleas, and also over several occasions while the advocates and the advocates representing Sharjeel Imam and Umar Khalid have presented before the court that there has been a larger conspiracy that the Delhi police is hatching, and they are being in fact hatched in this conspiracy, while there have been many arguments earlier as well that have also proved on that there was a bigger plan indeed during the coinciding of the time of the then US president. But at the very same time in JNU so far, while there has been much anticipation over what really happens today in the apex court, many times even in October 2023, 2 years back, in fact there were protests that have launched and clashes erupted in the JNU in fact campus as well, while the student-led union from the ABVP, while also in clashes with the SFI and DSF clashed over when the posters they came up of Sharjeel Imam and Umar Khalid both being depicted as Ravan, while there were allegations. So all of this has been going on for a long time as far as tensions continue to be prevalent on the ground in the campus of the JNU as well.
All right, Simran, thank you so much for that. Now, of course, there's a lot to unpack here, and we'll continue to bring you all the developments on that front through the course of the day. But it's also important to talk about why the lens is on Sharjeel Imam and Umar Khalid and what the Delhi High Court observed as well. The role assigned to them cannot be brushed aside. Now, that's the major thing here. That's what they've said. Prima facie, first ones to act after the SAB was passed, alleged inflammatory and provocative speeches. The other one here, acts indicate towards their role in alleged conspiracy. Absence before riots not enough to mitigate their role. So these are some of the observations by the High Court as well. And this is why the lens is on Sharjeel Imam and Umar Khalid. And of course, they are saying that the role assigned to them cannot be brushed aside. Now, Ananya, let me just come to you on that also. This is what the Delhi High Court has observed, and this is what you've said as well. If we were to talk about those representing Sharjeel Imam and Umar Khalid and other conspirators, alleged conspirators here, pardon me, do you think they have enough evidentiary support to probably secure a favorable verdict?
Well, it is a very, very tough task because as I told you, the 43D2 is a very, very stringent bar. If at all, you have to secure a bail under the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, and whether the Supreme Court would lower that bar is something that we'll have to wait and watch for. But more importantly, what was the role of Sharjeel Imam and Umar Khalid is very, very important to note, because Umar Khalid and Sharjeel Imam, as per the Delhi Police's charge sheet and as per the investigators themselves, what they go on to say is that these were the people who had hatched this criminal conspiracy. These were the masterminds of this criminal conspiracy. As far as these protests, which were it was in the garb of these peaceful protests that this violence had actually taken place, and the plan was to do actually violence and not in the garb of these peaceful protests, is what the Delhi Police's charge sheet goes on to say. It says that these were not organic protests. These were not organic agitations against, in fact, the Citizenship Amendment Act. These were, in fact, these were protests and agitations that were in order to create violence, and these were in the garb of these protests that this violence had actually taken place, is what the Delhi Police's charge sheet go on to say. And Sharjeel Imam and Umar Khalid were at the forefront of, in fact, this particular violence that had erupted in the national capital that claimed 53 lives, and more than 200 people were actually injured, which included almost 100 policemen as well. So very clearly at this particular juncture, whether the Supreme Court would be granting the bail or would actually not suffice the bar of 43D2 as far as the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act is concerned, is something that we'll get to know at 10:30 a.m. when this verdict would actually be pronounced by the topmost court of the country.
All right. Now, Simran, let me just come to you on that as well. As Ananya mentioned, of course, here Sharjeel Imam and others, they have other appellants here. They have sought relief on the basis that this has been a stretched out trial and stretched out incarceration that we're looking at here. On the other hand, the High Court did observe that, of course, a hurried trial here would be detrimental. Now, how strong do you think that serves as a basis for any sort of relief for them?
Well, absolutely. In fact, as we see at this point of time when we speak of this case, there has been a complete argument over how the delayed trial has also been witnessed in this case from the families of all the accused as well. In the past as well, as Sharjeel Imam and many supporters have come forward and said that there has been a deliberate delay of the trial, and specifically given the charges that have been imposed on both of these accused and many others who are linked to this case. But as we speak right now, while the Supreme Court is going to, after reserving this order in December, hear this today, more clarity is going to come forward, and we see as how exactly the families of all of these accused and the supporters who have been backing Sharjeel Imam and also these people who have been linked to the protest in 2020 are also going to speak up.
All right, Simran and Ananya, thank you so much for bringing us the latest on this. We'll, of course, continue to get our viewers all the latest on this with you guys there. Thank you so much for joining me this morning.